The Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter, or now called X, entrepreneur's net worth has crossed $240 billion after success after success. So what's the secret of his success? Here are some of Elon's get-rich guides in business. Welcome to Inspired Wallets. New videos are added every week. Come for the inspiration and stay for the money. 1. I don't care about the money. This is absolutely central to Elon Musk's attitude to business. Elon doesn't actually know how rich he is. It's not like he has a pile of cash sitting somewhere. It's really just that he has a certain number of votes in Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City, and the marketplace has value on those votes. He doesn't have anything against the pursuit of wealth if it's done in sort of an ethical and good manner, but it's not what pushes him forward. The approach certainly seems to be working, though. The real-life inspiration for Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark of Iron Man was worth perhaps $10 billion in 2014. His electric car company, Tesla, has performed particularly well. Shares have surged to take its value to more than $700 billion. For that, you could buy Ford, General Motors, BMW, Volkswagen, Chrysler, and still have enough left over to buy Ferrari. But Elon, who was over 50, doesn't expect to die rich. He said he thinks most of his money will be spent building a base on Mars. It wouldn't be surprised if the project consumed his entire fortune. In fact, Bill Gates, he would probably regard ending his life with billions in the bank as a mark of failure because he hadn't put that money to good use. 2. Pursuit of passions. That Mars base is a clue to what Elon Musk believes is the key to success. You want things in the future to be better. You want these new exciting things that make life better. Take SpaceX, for example. He set the company up because he was frustrated that the US space program wasn't more ambitious. He's expecting us to advance beyond Earth and put a person on Mars and have a base on the Moon and have very frequent flights out to orbit. When that didn't happen, he came up with the idea for the Mars Oasis mission, which aimed to send a small greenhouse to the red planet. The idea was to get people excited about space again and persuade the US government to increase NASA's budget. It was while he was trying to get off the ground that he realized the program wasn't a lack of will, but really a lack of way. Space technology was far more expensive than it needed to be. And so, the world's cheapest rocket launcher business was born, of course. And here's the most important thing. Its reason for existing wasn't about the money, but landing a person on Mars. Musk regards himself as an engineer rather than an investor, and says what gets him up in the morning is the desire to solve technical problems. It is that, rather than dollars in the bank, that is his yardstick of progress. He knows every hurdle his businesses overcome helps everyone else who's trying to solve the same problem, and it does it forever. 3. Don't be afraid to think big. One of the really striking things about Elon Musk's businesses is how massive they are. He wants to revolutionize the car industry, colonize Mars, build super-fast trains and vacuum tunnels, integrate AI into human brains, and upend the solar power and battery industries. There's a common thread here. All of his projects are the kind of futuristic fantasies you'd find in a kid's magazine in the early 1980s. Put it like this. His tunneling business is called The Boring Company. Musk makes no secret of the fact that he was inspired by the books and movies he consumed as a kid in South Africa. Which brings us to Elon's business tip, don't hold back. He believes low ambition is baked into most companies' incentive structures. Too many companies are incrementalists. If you're the CEO of a big company and you aim for something that's a modest improvement, and it takes longer than expected and doesn't work out quite as well, then nobody's going to blame you. If you are bold and go for a really breakthrough improvement, and it doesn't work, you're definitely going to get fired. He says this is why most companies focus on making small improvements for their existing products rather than daring to imagine completely new ones. So his advice is to make sure you're working on stuff that he calls stuff that's going to matter. 2 things stand out in Elon's personal hierarchy of stuff that matters. First, he wants to accelerate and transition from fossil fuels. Here's what the entrepreneur had to say about that. We're drawing upon deep gas fields and deep oil fields that haven't seen the light of day since the Cambrian era. If the last time something saw light was the last time a complex organism was a sponge, You really have to question whether it's a wise move. Second, he wants to endure a long-term survival of humanity by colonizing Mars and making life multiplanetary. Like he says, he thinks big. 4, be ready to take risks. This one is obvious. You've got to have skin in the game to do well. But Elon has taken more risks than most. By 2002, he had sold most of his holdings in his first 2 ventures, an internet city guide called Zip2, and the online payment company called PayPal. He had just entered his 30s and had almost $200 million in the bank. His plan was to put half his fortune into the business and keep the other half. Things didn't work out like that. His companies faced all sorts of problems. SpaceX's first 3 launches had failed, and Tesla had all manner of product problems. Tesla had a whole bunch of problems, and supply chain, and design issues. Then the financial crisis struck. Elon faced a stark choice. You could either keep the money, then the companies are definitely going to die, or invest what's left and maybe there's a chance. He just kept pouring in the money. At one point, he was so in debt he had to borrow money from his friends just to pay his living expenses. So did bankruptcy frighten him? He says it didn't. My kids might have to go to a sort of government school. I mean, big deal. I went to a government school. 5, ignore the critics. What really shocked him, and it was clear in 2014 he was still very upset by it, was the delight many people took in his failures. People may have wanted him to fail because there was a kind of arrogance about his ambition. He rejected that. This brings us to Musk's next lesson in business success. Don't listen to the critics. He said he didn't believe SpaceX or Tesla would ever make enough money to set them up. And the truth is, nor did anyone else. But he ignored all the doomsayers and went ahead anyways. Remember, this is a man who judges success on the basis of the important problems he has solved, not how much money he has made. Think of how liberating that is. He isn't worried about looking stupid because his big financial bet hasn't paid off. What he cares about is pursuing important ideas. It makes decision-making much simpler because he can stay focused on what he believes really matters. And the market seems to like what he's doing. The U.S. investment bank Morgan Stanley valued SpaceX at more than $100 billion. The company has transformed the economics of spaceflight. But what will make Elon most proud will be how his company has reinvigorated the U.S. space program. Elon's Crew Dragon rockets launched 6 astronauts into the International Space Station, the first such mission in the U.S. soil since the space shuttles were retired in 2011. 6. Enjoy yourself. Follow this guide, and with a bit of luck, you'll become impossibly rich and famous too. Then you can start to come out of your shell. Elon is famously a workaholic. He boasts on working 120 hours a week to keep production of the Tesla Model 3 on track. He announced his plans to sell off physical possessions, saying they weighed him down. Yet his unpredictable behavior doesn't seem to have affected his businesses, and the entrepreneur remains ambitious as ever. Not only is he the richest person alive, he is also one of the most influential engineers of our time. He will be remembered for things he hasn't even done yet. If you like this video, hit the like button, leave a comment, ring a bell for future notifications, and make sure to subscribe. What do you think of Elon? Leave it in the comments below. Thank you for watching.